Hey Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into today's Atlanta Falcons video. We're going to jump into training camp battles. Yes, we are less than a week away from all of your Falcons reporting up to Flowery Branch next week, getting ready for really the start of the NFL season. We finally made it here. The NBA Finals are over. That means the NFL training camp and then preseason, then NFL Week 1 it's close. So we're almost there. So who are the training camp battles? Where are the depth positions going to really be battled over and won in this week's and months training camps? We're going to have all the breakdown here on my training camp battles to keep an eye on. All five. I got 5 different ones. We'll start just going all the way down, and we'll break it down for you guys today on the video. So let's start with the first training camp battle, which is really the biggest training camp battle. We're going to say the entire offensive line, even though there are some secured spots there. Left tackle is pretty much secured. Right guard is pretty much secured. But right now, left guard and center have big-time camp battles to go ahead and keep an eye on. This is like an offensive line group that is not solidified by any means going into week 1. So as it currently stands, here is your offensive line as you see it. Now, the question is left guard. Matt Gono should be the starter there. You'd think he'd be the starter at left guard, but the injury, which seems to be worse than people thought, even though we don't even know what it is, has held him out. And so at OTAs, they're mixing in a bunch of different offensive linemen at the left guard spot. Josh Andrews was in there. Drew Dahlman was in there. But right now, I think that as it currently stands, Andrews is winning the left guard battle and should be the quote-unquote starter for the preseason or at least training camp, and then based on, overall production, we'll get a different guy in there. Or it could be Josh Andrews, the free agent who came over and has the most left guard experience. So that's your first one, is left guard. Is who's going to go ahead and battle and compete for the left guard spot. Again, we heard the report, we talked about it last week, that Josh Andrews is winning the left guard battle as it stands, but that is one to keep an eye on because there is no solidified starter to go ahead and start at left guard. The other one is center here, and we would assume that Matt Hennessy is going to be the starting center. They drafted him to be the Alex Mack replacement, and guess what? Alex Mack is gone, and Hennessy played at center last year. A little up and down and a limited amount of playing time, but there's also talk that Drew Dahlman, who has center experience, could be in an open competition for Hennessy's spot. And so it's another one to go ahead and keep an eye on here is, will Hennessy just win the job as he should, or will Hennessy lose the job and have a guy like Drew Dahlman come in there and steal the starting spot away? The good thing about the offensive line is there's enough depth there to where Arthur Smith is going to have the best 5 playing. It won't be like, well, we got 4 good ones and 1 really bad one. It'll be 5 decent offensive linemen. I know there are reports that Caleb McGarry could be battling for the right tackle spot. I don't think so. So I think left guard and center are big. Dahlman and Andrews, and then, of course, Matt Gono when healthy, and then Matt Hennessy are all kind of in that mix for the center and left guard spot. We got to keep an eye on that because the O-line's been historically bad for the Falcons the past couple of years. Can it get better under Arthur Smith? That is the first question. Now, I'll ask you guys this, the big one, left guard. Who starts at left guard in Atlanta this season? Give me your prediction down below. Is it Andrews? Is it Gono? Is it Dahlman? Is it Mayfield? Is it somebody else? Let me know who you guys think will be the starter at left guard this season in the ATL. All right, let's jump into our next battle here, and this is the number 3 wide receiver spot, because we understand that Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage are 1 and 2. Who's going to be the number 3 wide receiver on this team? So let's go Zaccheaus versus Christian Blake versus Frank Darby. That, to me, seems to be the 3 options right now for the number 3 wide receiver spot. You say, Thomas, how important is the number 3 wide receiver spot? And I'd say it is pretty darn important. Like, again, Ridley, Gage. They proved it last year. That's your 1, that's your 2. In a 12 package or a 2 wide receiver package, those should be your 2 starting receivers. But the Falcons like shotgun. Matt Ryan loves shotgun. They spread them out. You know this as a Falcon fan, and so there'll be a 3rd wide receiver out there alongside Kyle Pitts, and sometimes a 4th wide receiver. And so the question is Zaccheaus the guy? Is it Blake? Is it Darby? Because these seem to be your main options. Now, Zaccheaus was wide receiver, 3 last year whenever Julio Jones was injured. It bumped him up from being number 4, but the production was, interesting. It wasn't great. 20 catches for 274 yards and a touchdown. That would have to be better, in my opinion, to be the number 3 wide receiver and not a 4 who was thrust into the 3 because Julio Jones missed 7 games. So we'll keep an eye on Zaccheaus. Fans like Frank Darby, and so Darby is kind of thrown out there as the dark horse, could go ahead and win the number 3 job. But as I said before, I hope he does. But Arizona State, he wasn't a world beater at Arizona State. There was a reason he was a 6th-round draft pick. Of course, sat out and then played 2 years ago in 2019. And so I'm going to hold my judgment on Darby, but he is in a competition right now, as I said, for that number 3 wide receiver spot alongside Blake and Olamide Zaccheaus. All right, speaking of a trio of people battling for a spot. How about the number 2 running back spot? We talked about this a lot on the channel. You got, right now, obviously, Mike Davis, number 1 running back. That's clear. Who's going to share touches with him, though? Because it will be running back by committee. We already know that. Ollison versus Brooke James versus the rookie Jalen Hawkins, who you guys are a big fan of, even though I have my reservations. I get ripped on this on Twitter a lot. I had guys DMing me last week saying I'm too hard on the Falcons running back depth chart. So I'll be nice, right? Let's be nice today. Davis is going to be your 1. I'll leave it at that, even though I'm a little not nice. I said before, I'm a little hesitant there. Who's going to be number 2? I mean, this is a real battle to go ahead and watch, especially in the Arthur Smith offense that wants to run the football. Like, yes, they have Matt Ryan, and yes, they have Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, but the bread and butter of the success for an Arthur Smith offense in Tennessee the past couple of years has been being a top 5 rushing team, and Atlanta's been a bottom 5 rushing team. And so the question is, if Davis is 1, as he should be, who is going to be number 2? People keep saying, don't sleep on Jalen Hawkins, and that's fine, but everyone else in the draft slept on him because an undrafted free agent. So I hope that Hawkins balls and hope that he turns out to be the best of the 3 here, whether it's Ollison or Brooks James, but I'm not sold on the idea that Hawkins, as an undrafted free agent, is just going to waltz in there and be the number 2 running back. If I'm proven wrong, great, because I want to have, if the Falcons can run the football, they can win football games. But if they can't run the football, then the odds of Hawkins or Ollison or Brooks James being that answer, it's just not going to happen. And quickly, don't go down below saying Cordell Patterson's going to be number 2. He's a return specialist. That's basically it. All right. Man, she has this question. Who becomes the number 2 running back on the roster as it currently stands, right? I mean, you got Ollison, you have Brooks James, and Hawkins. Let me know who you guys think will be the number 2 running back on this roster down below. Before we continue, again, we are so close to training camp, but that means we have plenty of training camp-related video and coverage coming up in the next couple of days. So be sure you get on that and subscribe down below. That way you guys are notified whenever we drop our latest videos, as we do multiple videos a week, including mailbag videos. We'll do one tomorrow, and so make sure you guys are tomorrow or next day or whatever it is. Make sure you guys are subscribed, though. Go down below, help us grow the channel. More subscribers equals more videos, so hit that red button and subscribe. Let's move on to some more training camp battles here. This one is also going to be interesting. I mean, listen, the Falcons have a lot of places where there are battles happening, and I give you another trio of guys competing for one slot, and that is the number 2 cornerback spot. Kendall Sheffield versus Fabian Monroe versus Darren Hall, the rookie who was drafted in the middle of the 2021 NFL Draft. Those, to me, seem to be the 3 options to start opposite of A.J. Terrell. Now, is Isaiah Oliver a corner? Is he a safety? That's going to be determined, and maybe you mix Isaiah Oliver into this competition, but as the Falcons have said, they haven't listed at safety, so we leave him off the board right now. Right now, it's Sheffield versus Monroe versus Hall. Sheffield, they tried to give him the starting job last year, after, of course, Isaiah Oliver struggled, and he wasn't able to hold on to it. I've said before, I think he's going to go ahead and win the job this offseason, but they signed Fabian Monroe, who has some experience in the past, and then you have a rookie in Hall, who you don't really know what he's going to be able to do. So this is another one, much like the running back battle, which will take place at number 2 in the running back slot as we talked about. You don't really know who's going to win. Now, the best one will, but they're going to keep the other guys around more than likely in case Sheffield were to struggle by week 5, or Monroe gets a start and then he's just too old or not that good, or whatever it is. So I will go with Kendall Sheffield. I think he's going to win, and the Falcons want him to win, being a draft pick most recently, I should say, or two drafts ago, whatever it was. But it is one to keep an eye on because as it currently stands, Terrell is locked in. Grant's going to start the safety. The safeties are going to be fine. Who's that number 2 cornerback? And that impacts who's the nickel cornerback as well, whether you want to mix Isaiah Oliver in there or move Sheffield inside. A lot of questions at corner. That's another battle to go ahead and keep an eye on. We'll go and jump into my final training camp battle. And this one is interesting because it's Marlon Davidson versus Taquan Graham. You say, Thomas, Marlon Davidson, technically a defensive tackle. Graham, technically a defensive end. True, but they're both supposed to be moved around and will compete for snaps, and it's more of a starting role on a very weak Falcons defensive line. And so as it currently stands, neither one of these guys will start at defensive end or start at defensive tackle because the Falcons D-line is pretty much set as it currently stands, as you see on your screen. But that could change, and there can be a lot of rotations in there, and the Falcons are desperately trying to find somebody to give them a spark at a pass rush option. Graham has a very little pressure. I think he's playing with house money this training camp because he is a rookie, whereas if you're Marlon Davidson, you're one of the top picks from last year's draft who did nothing last year. I mean, very underwhelming coming out of Auburn, and so I think Davidson has a lot of pressure on him right now, but he is in a battle with some of the younger guys that the Falcons added, including Graham, who they hope they find a diamond in the rough in the later parts of the NFL draft to improve what has been a very weak spot for them the past couple of years, and that, of course, is pass rushing abilities. Yes, it will depend on what Dante Fowler is able to do, and yes, you want to know what Grady Jarrett's able to do, but these guys behind him, especially Marlon Davidson, have their work cut out for them. Keep an eye on that battle between Davidson and Graham for playing snaps. You see a lot of, I think, changes here during the preseason games. Whoever plays better in the preseason games has a better chance to get more snaps during the start of the NFL season. Again, training camp, it's crazy. It's almost here. Drop a like for training camp being 1 week away. Give the video a thumbs up because I'm pumped, and you guys should be pumped too as we finally get Falcons football. Plenty of coverage coming up in the next couple of days. Thumbs up for that. All right, ultimately for today here on our Atlanta Falcons Today training camp battle video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, again, thumbs up, and make sure you guys are subscribed. Mailbag video coming up. You guys know the drill. Got to be a subscriber, and then use the hashtag Falcons down below in order for your question to be on the show, and then answered on the show as I normally do. So we got plenty of great content coming up here, so make sure you guys are subscribed and stay tuned because I'm pumped for what we're going to bring you, and also you should be pumped because training camp and the actual NFL season, we've been waiting months for this, is finally upon us. All right, ultimately for today here on our Atlanta Falcons Today video. I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.